The following table of values shows the relationship between the number of people, N, going to a movie and the total cost, C, of admission in dollars. Graph the data. What are the domain and range? Does the relationship represent a function? Is it appropriate to draw lines connecting the points? In order to graph a set of data, the first thing we have to do is label the axes. We always make sure that the independent variable is plotted along the x-axis and the dependent variable along the y-axis. We then have to scale the axes. We want to ensure, first of all, that all points fit, but also that we use up most of the grid provided. We then plot the points. Connect the points only if it is reasonable for the situation. This means only if both variables consist of all real numbers between the points. First of all then, let's label the axes. In this case, the number of people attending the movie will be the independent variable plotted along the x-axis. The cost of admission is the dependent variable as it depends on the number of people. It will be plotted on the y-axis. For the scales, for the number of people, the data goes from 0 to 7, and there are 17 divisions on the grid. This means we can have 0.5 people per division, or 1 person for every 2 divisions. For the cost goes from 0 to $56, and there are 13 divisions provided. This means we can use $5 per division on the grid. We then plot the points. The first point, 0, 0, 1, 8, 2, 16, 3, 24, 4, 32, 5, 40, 6, 48, and 7, 56. For the domain, note that the domain here corresponds to the number of people, which is given by the letter N. Note that we have to have a positive number of people. We cannot have a negative number of people. We then have N being greater than or equal to 0. However, N cannot be all real numbers. Since N corresponds to people, N has to be a whole number. So here we write NEW, for N is an element of the set of whole numbers. Similarly, for the range, the cost has to be greater than or equal to 0. However, we can go further than that. We know here that each person costs $8. That means that the cost has to be a multiple of 8. We can then say that C has to be 8M, where M is an element of the set of whole numbers. Do we connect the points? We ask ourselves, is it possible to have values in between the ones plotted on the graph? Can we have something in between 3 people and 4 people as an example? We can't do this, so in this case it is not appropriate to connect the points. And finally, is this a function? We ask ourselves, is there more than one output value for each input value? If there was, then it would not be a function. In this case, each input value, or the number of people, only corresponds to a single output value, or cost of admission. Therefore, this relation is a function.